Donna says hello from Chandler.
Hi, Donna. Which Donna?
Hammock.
Donna Hammock. All right. Hello from Chandler. One of our first people. She actually got in on the Wildman Phil Merc before we had our online store going. So she's actually getting a little bit different.
Hey, Donna Jagelski says hi. Jennifer Aldridge says hi.
Hi, Donna. Another Donna. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, Donna. Okay. Another Donna, yeah. And a Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer. Another Jennifer. Asher, that kind of rhymes with Jennifer. Asher says hey from Arkansas. Wow, thanks, Asher. And Katie, good morning. Well, I won't argue, but I will say morning. Yeah, it is a morning. Now, it's always a good morning when you wake up and you have snakes as pets. And hey, Charlie, how you doing? Katie, Troy Foot. Oh, I got a lot of good mornings. People must have had a good weekend. I'm always worried on Monday because, let's be honest, Mondays can be, well, Mondays. Yeah. So, looking at time-wise, I think we're about ready to get started here. You know, just another few seconds for everybody who hasn't quite come on board yet to do just that. And let's see if we can talk a little bit about snakes today. All right. So we've had a lot of questions over what would be a good snake for me to have as a pet. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So, with that being said, that is a very good question because, let's be honest, not every snake is a good snake to have as a pet. Some snakes, it's more of an advanced type snake. Some snakes are actually very good at letting you know if they like you or not. And sometimes you're pretty good at letting you know that I'm going to be a good pet or I'm not going to be a good pet. Are you going to be a good pet? You look like, no, maybe not a good pet. Yeah, this guy, he's kind of got that whole attitude thing going, right? And of course, let's see what we've got here. Yeah, this is a snake that we probably don't all want to go out and mess with. This is one that's actually a wild snake, a lot more out in the wild. This snake, by the way, is a coach whip. He's going to actually have his own little segment later. But you get the idea. Yeah, he's a little on the bitey side. And you want to be a little bit more advanced of a keeper if you're going to keep something like this as a pet. And I say pet because anything that tries to bite your face off, probably not something you want to have as a pet, right? Yeah. Also, this is why math is very important, kids. Because if you know that you've got 2 foot of snake and then you only have 1.5 foot between your hand and your face and the snake tries to bite your face, then it's a mess, okay? Yeah. But this snake, you can see, does have a little attitude there. He doesn't have any venom or anything. If he was to grab my hand, there would be a little bit of blood, but that's really about it. But this obviously is not the snake that you want to have as a pet, right? Yeah. So let's put him away and let's talk about a snake that would be a good pet. So this is more on the advanced level, right? I don't suggest a coach whip or any kind of racer to anybody really who is looking to start as a pet. And if you're asking what would make a good pet snake, you probably don't have a whole bunch because you already figured that part out. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what snakes would be good snakes to have as a pet. We're going to start with the one that we have right down in here. First off, I want to talk a little bit about what's it going to take to keep a snake. If you've never had a snake before, it's a little bit different than having a dog. It's a lot different than having a cat because snakes hopefully won't bite you, right? Or run your life or anything. This tank that you're looking at here is what want you to see this setup is what we're going to talk about now. If you want a snake, you want to have room for it. So that kind of plays into what kind of snake you want. You don't want to get a reticulated python, even though it might be nice if you only have room for a tank this size in your bedroom. You also probably don't even want a red-tailed boa or something that's going to get 12 feet long. So, and if you don't even have something this big, you want to go with something a little smaller. But size is important. You want to make sure that your snake's tank is the longest point from diagonal is pretty close to the length of the snake, all right? Snake like tight places, they don't stretch out very often. They don't need to wake up every morning, stretch, and then lay out. I wouldn't suggest putting a dog in here unless maybe it's a Chihuahua, and then I wouldn't do that either. No. But this guy is a corn snake, and his size, which I'll show you in a minute, is perfect for this kind of tank. Now, the important thing is you do want a lid on your tank. We took this one off because it's easier to see through there. But this lid right here doesn't just lay on top, because then I would come out from having lunch and I wouldn't have a snake. Well, I would, it just wouldn't be in the tank. I would have a snake who knows where. So having something that clips on. So this one has these nice little clippity things that rotate, click, and then it holds that nice and tight right there. So this, same thing here, boom, and it goes all the way around. And now, if I don't clip them all, he could still climb out. Snakes, they're really good at getting out of things. But the beauty of this particular one is that if I want to get my snake out, let's say you want to handle it every day, which is fine. It's why you might have the snake. You're going to have to turn all of these, 6 things here to get this thing out. But this particular tank is a little bit different. Let's say the lid was on here. We wanted to just get this guy out. Just boop. And then you can pull these right over and reach right in. Now, this works out very well because then you can either get the snake out easily or maybe put some food right in here and not have to open all this. But the nice thing about having the top is that, like, his water dish, it's going to be hard to pull out through this door, but you take the lid off. Well, you only have to change the water dish out maybe once a month or something. If he goes to the bathroom in it, you got to clean it out, so it might be once a week. But that's one of the things you do need, depending on the snake you have. Some will lay in their water a lot. Some need higher humidity. And so if you have that, you might end up needing something like this, where you pump it up, you fill it with water, and then you spray it. And some snakes have to have more moisture and stuff. And these are things you want to take into account when you're trying to get your snake. Do they have to have something to climb on? They don't have to. Some snakes more than others. Do they need a place to hide? Most every snake does. So, one of the things you'll see is we have this little hide thing here. It's just a little thing you buy at the store. It's got, it's open on the bottom. You put it down here. The snake has a place to go and hide if it wants. Feels safe. It might spend a lot of time in there. But this particular snake is one that's great for pets, probably the best beginner snake. This is a corn snake. And the corn snake, we'll get this guy out. Oh, by the way, I wouldn't normally have my snake setup being right next to, say, a mammal of some sort. That's just not nice to everybody. The snake smells food, the animal smells predator, and so on. But it works well for today's display of being able to see everything we're talking about. So, this is the infamous corn snake. And the corn snake is something that's found in the United States. Basically, the eastern part of the United States, you can find corn snakes. We don't happen to have them in Arizona. But this is a typical looking corn snake. Well, typical. With corn snakes, that is a big word. You see, corn snakes have been kept in captivity for a long time. People have had them as pets for a very long time. And they've been finding some that have brown colors and gray colors. They find one that's albino out in the wild years and years ago, and they started breeding it. And now we have all kinds of colors and patterns. You want to have some fun? When we're done today, go ahead and Google images of corn snakes. You will be amazed at all the different and beautiful types of corn snakes. And of course, this one here, I think it's a typical looking corn snake. It's got more of what you would find out in the wild, and that's why I mean typical. But this snake you'll see is a very nice snake. Is he trying to bite my face off? No. That's a pretty good indication that this is a snake that you would like. Now, right out in the wild, you find a corn snake, he might try to bite your face off. His cousin, the rat snake, yeah, he would try and bite your face off. And he'd probably do a good job of inflicting some blood coming from your face. But this guy, you'll see, he is holding on because he's a corn snake. He's a constrictor. So out in the wild, he would grab his food, which being a mouse would be alive. He would then wrap his body around it and squeeze it. And so that's something to keep in mind, by the way, if you're thinking pet snake. There's not like a little dog food bag or something for snakes that you just scoop that out, put it in once a day, and then go about your business. These guys eat, yeah, mice. Now, the good news is, as you probably have seen if you watched our feeding video a few weeks ago, you can get frozen mice. There's all kinds of places you can do that. Most every pet store that sells snakes or any exotic pets is going to sell mice. Sometimes live. Most of the time you can at least get them frozen. Then you thaw them out. Then these guys can eat something that's not going to fight back and bite them. It's not going to have a disease. It's not going to live in there and not get eaten and then die and stink. It's already dead. You got to watch for that. If it doesn't get eaten, take that out. I think that would go without saying, and it will, because you'll smell it and you'll know what to do. But this corn snake, the nice thing about it is, if you want something that's just for display, some people, they get a snake and they have the snake kind of like they would a fish, right? A fish tank. Oh, I got some beautiful fish. And oh, look at all my little fish in there, and they're fun to watch, and you can just watch them do their thing. Snakes, their thing is to hide, sometimes, most of the time. Now, if they're out moving around, it's cool. But I'm thinking, if you're thinking of a pet snake, you probably are thinking, I want to get it out and I want to hold it, right? So, the snake that won't bite you, that won't try and get away all the time, and will kind of help you by holding on, probably more than you're holding on to it, would be a corn snake. Now, the nice part about the corn snake is that there are numbers of different colorations, right? I'm not going to go through all of those that I have even, but I do want to show you what I'm talking about, where you can get some variety. You see, I have another corn snake here that looks similar but different, if you will. This one, you can see, has some very nice, pretty orange colors. Ooh, can you see that? Okay, so this snake, you can see, looks real cool. It's not quite as big, it's not quite as old. The pattern isn't very noticeable. If you look closely, it has some darker orange, maybe that's red on lighter orange. So it's a very beautiful snake. Once again, holding on to me, doing a great job. Now, the thing to remember is you might go into a pet store looking for one. And you might see this guy and go, oh, that's a beautiful snake. That's perfect. I have a 10-gallon tank. This guy will fit in there perfectly. And I can buy small mice and it'll be great. It's a corn snake, so it'll get to be a lot bigger, and that's what you want to remember. Oh, this guy, a baby, is like this long. This thing's smaller than my fingers, more like a pencil. And you go, he's a cute little guy. He's going to end up eating mice. This guy here will eat 3 mice a week if I was to let him. Usually we go 3 mice one week to the next sort of thing. Snakes can overeat. You have to keep that in mind. But their natural thing is to eat food anytime that they can and that they have room. Of course, corn snakes are a little better about that than other snakes, which makes them, yet again, a good pet. So the corn snake, a snake you hear about a lot that you could find in a lot of different places. Almost every pet store will have a corn snake. If not, they can get you one. Of course, I talk about pet stores and which ones do I want to get my snake from and so on. Well, there are different pet stores. Before we get off of that, I do want to talk about that because there are pet stores that specifically deal with these kind of things. And the people that work at those love these animals and they take better care of them than some places that, oh, hey, we sell dogs and cats and, oh, but we have a snake. I don't know anything about it, but you might want one, right? Now, you're wondering where. I know a lot of you are watching from all over the country. You're going to have to, Google that one, map it. Of course, kind of read the reviews. Sometimes there's some people get on and leave reviews that are unnecessary. But, hey, it works, and that's with everything. If you're watching, excuse me, from here in Casa Grande, we actually do have a pet store here in town that deals with reptiles and other exotics. It's Unique Aquariums. That's where I go to get a lot of my feed for my animals because they always have the right stuff. They get crickets in. They have cockroaches. They have, mice like we would need for these guys. The others, that's for taking care of. We'll do a segment on which tarantula is best for me. Yeah, we talked about spiders before. That's a whole nother episode. But Unique Aquarium's a great place here in Casa Grande. Maybe you live in the Phoenix metro area. There's actually some that I recommend there to start with. And if they don't have what you're looking for, maybe go to another one. If you're on the east side, Mesa, Scottsdale, Apache Junction, and all that, Hold Fast Reptiles and Exotics. I've dealt with them a number. They have very good animals. They have good selection, good prices, very knowledgeable staff. That's in Apache Junction. Also, in Mesa is Predators Reptile Center. They also are known for having good quality and good prices. Good place to go. And if you're writing all this down, also if you're in the central Phoenix area, AE Herps and Exotics. I've got a few of my creatures for them as well. Wonderful place, great guys to work with. Once again, you know you're getting good quality product. Go into some of those. Now, that's not the only places, by the way. I just can't list people all over the country in different places I've dealt with. Good places in Tucson, Dallas area, Las Vegas. I've worked with a lot of people that have a lot of good quality animals. And that's where you want to start. You can go in and talk to them and say, hey, I'm brand new at keeping snakes. I was thinking corn snake. I talked to Wildman Phil. He thought that was good. Whatever, that's fine. These guys will help you know which one's good. And if they get one in that maybe has a little attitude, they're probably going to say, that's a little bit more for the advanced guy. That's something that we give to Coyote Peterson, let him get bit by it, right? But there's other snakes that are just as pretty but a little bit different, and it really depends on what it is that you're wanting to get and what look you're going for. Because as pretty as the corn snakes are, and the varieties of colors on those are great, king snakes are a great pet snake. I know we talked about king snakes before, and what makes them, the king of snakes is the fact that they eat other snakes. And so people are like, oh, I don't want to get one of those. I gotta buy snakes to feed snakes and all that. But they eat more than just other snakes, and in captivity, they can live just fine off of mice like any other snake, and they're going to be a good eater. They're going to be pretty easy to take care of, and like a corn snake, look at me, I don't have to hold on to them, they're holding on to me. These guys are nice, they're not trying to bite, they're holding on, they're being handleable, and of course, that's what we're looking for in a good pet snake anyway, right? Now, I know some of you thinking, what I'm looking for in a pet snake is something to scare my sister. That's not a quality you look for in a snake, all right? If you want to get a snake as a pet, you have to be responsible. Don't go out and go, oh, I want a pet. Oh, look at that beautiful snake. I'm going to take that snake. And don't even have somewhere ready to put it. You don't want to get it just so you can scare your friends, or you can be that guy walking around the mall going, look at me, I'm the snake king. No. You want to be responsible. You want to be courteous to others. And you want to use snakes for the good. If you're getting something like this for a pet, like any pet, you want to make sure that you're ready for it. And of course, especially if you're a kid, get permission from the woman of the house. Yeah, and the man of the house. I have to say that because I know a lot of people had a hard time talking their dad into letting them get a snake. Mine was my mom. My dad was like, I don't know, whatever, I don't care, it's a snake, right? My mom, not so much. It took her a while, but she's good. But you can see just in these two king snakes here, the variety that you can get. These are just in California king snakes. Now, there are other king snakes. Maybe where you live, you can, you get a milk snake, which is a type of king snake. Those, they're still king snakes. They make good pets. They're the red, the yellow, the black colors. We have king snakes that are gray and orange, and we talked about that and all the varieties in another show. But all these king snakes, depending on which version you want to get and what coloration, are probably going to be good. But once again, you want to check with who you're getting it from. And if somebody's trying to push you on, oh, buy the snake, take this snake, maybe there's a reason. Maybe they're just trying to unload it, some guy on Craigslist or something, I don't know. But you talk to a good, reputable place, they're going to be like, oh, for your first snake, maybe this. And then maybe move on to one that might have a little attitude, or you might be a little finicky. That's the issue, is that if you get a full-grown snake that's already eating, boom, your life is good. But let's say you find a snake that's beautiful, but it's some new type that this guy isn't really an eater. You got to work hard, and there's little tricks to where maybe it'd only eat a lizard. Baby snakes especially baby king snakes, sometimes as in the wild they would just eat what they can find small enough, which is lizards. Now if they came across a baby mouse, they could swallow that, but they don't know that yet. Their instincts are smell of lizard, and so you have to catch lizards to feed it until it gets bigger, or Then you got to catch a lizard. You got to rub that lizard smell all over a baby mouse, hoping that it smells enough like a lizard that it will eat it. And then once it gets used to smelling the mouse some, then you can get it to just eat mice. Well, that's a lot of work. That's advanced hobbyist stuff right there. So you want to get with something that's eating and something that is eating. Out in the wild, you get some of these snakes. It's going to be different. But the good news is you're not looking to go out in the wild and catch one. No, you want to leave the wild ones out in the wild. You want to get ones like this that were born in captivity, that were hatched from an egg in a breeding facility somewhere, or somebody, you know, even if it's just somebody's yard in their room or something, where you know, hey, these things, because the more that they're bred in captivity, the less the natural instincts they have as far as only eating specific foods. So these guys here, I think, are very pretty snakes, very good snake for a beginner snake and an advanced snake, because you can start with maybe one like this and then move on to maybe a mountain king snake of some sort, or maybe onto some Honduran milk snake or something that, you know, because let's be honest, once you start keeping snakes as pets, you want more, right? And I know now all the moms are like, nope, we're not doing it. We're not going to get snake. Not everybody wants no more. So keep that in mind. Try not to push your luck on getting too many snakes. But of course, the king snake, nice snake, beautiful snake, and of course a snake that I think most of us would love to have as a pet, makes a great pet. Even advanced people that have 10, 15, 20, 30 snakes will see a new king snake and go, that I want, that's a great snake. So it's a good one for anybody actually to use and to keep. But of course, another one that's very popular, and you know what, I'm going to go ahead, these guys are moving a bunch. I wanted to kind of show you, we'll put him in here, let him sit around. Oh, he's going to go through his water, of course. There we go. And now he's not going to move, so that's great. Yeah, I was going to see if he would actually sit up on his log. Sometimes they will sit up on the log, and so he's just going to sit there and do nothing. So that brings us to the other snake that I do want to talk about that a lot of people have kept as pets. This one that I'm talking about is one that I'm old enough to remember when they first came into the pet trade, and they were advanced snakes. But now, because they've been captive bred and people have worked with them, they are one that a lot of people like, and I definitely would suggest. This is a ball python. And the ball python, look at that beautiful snake. This is a normal ball python. Once again, like corn snakes, ball pythons have been now bred in captivity, and they've done such a good job, all the different breeders with them, that they have a lot of amazing coloration phases, we call it. They don't change, it's just a variety, if you will. So this guy here is about as big as a ball python is going to get, all right? That's a pretty good sized snake, right? So this snake is a little bigger, a little more spectacular, dare I say. You want a pet snake, but you want something that, well, is going to be you know, a little bit different from your neighbor's corn snake. I don't know. It's just one of those that he'll hold on just as well. He's a constrictor. His body is made for gripping. You can do the whole, I'm not even holding on to it, it's holding on to me thing, and it works out well. But it's a little bigger. Now, the downside to this being bigger is it eats more. And it eats bigger things. So you get a baby ball python, you're starting out feeding it small mice. And then as it gets bigger, you're giving it adult mice, then extra large mice, and then another. You're getting it 2 this week, and next time it's 3. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So you move on to rats, and you're giving it a medium rat. And then when he gets this big, and he's eating a rat every week, now they're not quite as easy to find. Now if you have a specialty store, like I was mentioning, unique aquariums and, predators and the hold fast and A&E, all those guys will be able to get you rats, okay? There's places online that you can buy if you're getting bulk, and that's great. They can ship frozen mice and rats. That works out well. But this guy here, yeah, he's definitely going to eat more than your corn snake or your king snake. But he also might be a little on the finicky side, depending on the snake you get. During the winter time, even if you keep them in an enclosure with the temperature perfect they like, sometimes their brain just is wired to, hey, I'm not going to eat right now. And he might not eat for 2 or 3 months. And then people get worried. And they go, oh, my ball python, I've been putting food in there and he just won't eat it. And it's going to die. No, these guys can literally go months and months and months and months without eating. They have to in the wild sometime. So when you do get them about this time of the year, well, really about 1st of March here, they start eating again. Boom, start feeding them, get them nice and thick and heavy, just in case you run into one of those droughts. So that's something you want to keep in mind. It may not work for everybody to have the ball python and his little finickiness about eating. And of course, some people, they like a different color. They like the orange or the pink or the purple or whatever more than whatever here. Now, once again, with ball pythons, there are a lot of colorations. Some that... and there's all kinds of different names to give the different colors. And there's the piebalds, which are really weird. They get mostly just white, no colors, with a little bit of pattern here and there. Really cool looking snake. But you can get pinstripes, Mojaves, there's all kinds. Just Google ball python images and enjoy your afternoon of beauty. Yeah. But the ball python's a very good one. The nice thing is once again, he only gets about this long, which really is shorter than that corn snake I showed you first. So this guy would actually do just fine in one of these tanks as well. In fact, I'm going to lay him right down in here a bit. I'm going to pull our king snake out of here because, well, these guys wouldn't get along together very well. But, yeah, let me see if we open this up. I don't know if you can see him through there pretty well. Now, here's the other thing you keep in mind. He's a big snake. He might decide, I'm going to go in there, and when he does, he might push this over. You might come in one day and have the log flipped over, or even worse, him knock his water over. Then you got to clean it up. They like a little bit more humidity, so if he was in here, I'd be doing that, spray it down, keep it a little moist type thing. But he is still a lot of fun. Look at him now. This is not his normal tank. So he's kind of checking it out, going, hey, what is this new place? And, of course, this is one of the reasons you get a snake, right? So, with that, we'll watch this guy as he's kind of checking out his little tank here. Sorry about that, buddy. And let's take a few questions about keeping a snake as a pet.
How often do their tanks need to be cleaned?
That's a very, very important question, and that's something that you definitely want to take into consideration when deciding if and what type of snake to get. It depends on the snake. Some more advanced snakes that maybe eat very specific things. Not just finding the food is the hard part, but they might be one that you have to clean out because when they go to the bathroom, it smells a lot worse than others. Basically, a snake's life is eat. Whoa, nope, stay in there. There we go. A snake's life is eat, rest while it digests its food, and then go to the bathroom and then look for more food. So if you feed them once a week, generally, if you give them it the right amount, it's going to go to the bathroom about a week later. And then it's going to be hungry again. And that works out very well. So the easy thing to do is you have a substrate like this one here. It's kind of a sawdusty type thing. That's good because it can absorb, if it goes to the bathroom, a liquid, if it pees, it'll absorb that and it kind of clumps it together. And when it does go number 2, when he poos, he's going to leave a little spot there. Then I just take a spoon that I have that's just for that, not just a normal one out of your mom's drawer. That will get your snake out of the house real quickly. But I have a special big spoon, a slotted spoon thing I bought just for that I'll then dip into there and pull that out, throw it in the trash. And there you go. So I don't have to really clean out the actual tank very often, unless it starts, clean the glass if it smears some water up against it or something. But really, depending on the snake, I would say every 4, 5, 6 months, just to be safe, change things out. If you end up with a mouse in there that doesn't get eaten and you don't know about it for a day or two for some real strange reason, and you end up with a, bugs in there and stuff, then you want to clean everything out, you want to disinfect it and things like that. But really, one of the nice things about snakes is you don't have to worry about cleaning the entire thing out. The big thing is the water. A lot of snakes, when they go to the bathroom, they like to go to the bathroom in their water. So you watch it, you look in there. If they get a bunch of debris and stuff in there, then you take the water dish out, you wash that. Then, of course, you go ahead and, sanitize it, put it back in.
How do you properly feed a corn snake?
This is something that, well, there's a few different ways of doing this. Everybody kind of has their own. Some snakes, like the ball pythons maybe more than others, people like to feed them in a different container. Some people actually have a feed tub, and the snake actually learns that when it gets put in that tub, that means it's time to eat. And the nice thing about that is that it's not being fed in the tank like this one here. If this guy lived in here, if the only time that I had anything to do with him was to feed him, guess what? Every time I open this up, he's going to be looking for food. And he might bite me. If I'm reaching in to get him out to show my friends, I put my hand in and he's thinking food, boom, I get bit. And that's a different ending to your day. But no, you're not going to die, but it is painful. So I make sure and handle mine so that that's not what they're not thinking food every time I put my hand in. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that hide rock of his. You'll notice it's nice and flat. This one, it's actually made out of plastic. Yeah, it's formed to look like a rock. Some people use real rocks. That's fine. I use the plastic because it's easy to clean up. But it's nice and flat, and I will put the food on that. So it's a plate as well. And with a corn snake, that works out well because he'll learn that this is where his food goes all the time because it smells like food. And you can come in, you can hold your corn snake, you can put him back in, you're good. Then when it's time to feed, I always use forceps because that gives me about 6 to 10 inches between my hand and the mouth. And I'll just lay that right onto that flat area. That way, it's usually wet because I've thawed it out in warm water. It's going to stick to any of this. And this is one of the reasons I use this substrate. These guys can eat this, and it doesn't do anything. It's just basically like, I have a little bit of a chunk of a little piece of salad, if you will. It's wood. So if it gets a little bit on there, it's not an issue. But that helps to keep it cleaner, makes it easier, and it gives the snake a spot to know that's the dinner table type of thing.
Do snakes need to be cleaned or bathed?
They don't need to be cleaned or bathed because they shed their skin all the time. And, of course, the more they're fed, the bigger they get, the more often they shed their skin. Once they get to be adults, that might be once every few months in captivity, if that. And they come out brand new. They've got rid of their entire outer covering and so on. But they do like to soak in water a lot of times. Of course, they need to be able to drink water. But soaking in the water isn't really to bathe them as much as it is to hydrate them. They like to sit in there. And especially when they're getting ready to shed their skin, that helps their old skin to kind of loosen up a little and be able to slide out of there. So you don't have to take them in the shower with you. You don't have to worry about, washing them like you do a dog because they don't have the hair and the fur to hold all kinds of different things in. They're actually very clean animals. Very good question.
How long of a commitment is it for a ball python or a king snake?
Very good thing to keep in mind. Somebody is actually going to be a responsible pet owner, I hope. How big of a commitment? Yes. You figure these snakes generally will live about 20 years. That's the 3 we talked about. Some snakes don't live quite as long. Some live a little bit longer. Something like a small rough green snake maybe. Didn't really talk about that one much today. They eat crickets. They don't need as big of an area. My rough green snake I had for about 4 years. They only live about 7 years or so. I don't know how old it was when I got it. It passed away a few months ago. So maybe if I get a new one, we'll talk about that. But that kind of snake is only going to live about that. You're going to have it maybe 5 or 6 years. Of course, oh, sorry, buddy. You didn't know I was coming. But, of course, a ball python, a corn snake, a king snake, you're looking at about 20 years. So you get this right now when you're starting high school, and then you go away in 3 or 4 years to college. You can't take the snake with you. Now your mom's stuck with it. And then what? Yeah, so that's something definitely to keep in mind. Very good question. So I think that everybody's kind of figuring out exactly maybe what snake you want to keep as a pet. Like I said, there's a lot of different ones out there. I talked about the main 3 that are good, especially for beginner snakes. Once again, there's a lot. You might get a garter snake or a ribbon snake. That's a little bit different. Most of the time, garter snakes and ribbon snakes are only eating things like lizards and frogs and fish. Yeah, you can get those at the pet stores if you want. That's fine. You got a water dish, you put some minnows in there, your garter snake eats them. That's fun to watch. So it's just kind of dependent upon what you want and what you like to look at. Lots of different colors and patterns and different snakes. With that being said, I think that everybody's good. I'm hoping next week to maybe do a segment again similar on maybe, I don't know if anybody wants a lizard. There's a lot of different lizards. Lizards make good pets, and of course that's always good. So maybe we'll do a segment on what lizard would make a good pet for me, and really which is easier, a lizard or a snake, and that sort of thing. Snakes are pretty easy because temperature-wise, whatever's in your house is usually going to be pretty good for them. I live in Arizona, so we don't have as cold a winter. I'm not a wintry kind of guy, so in some places, yeah, you'll have an under tank heater or a heat strip or rock. If you're wanting to breed them, that's a whole other thing where you do have to worry about temperature greatly. But that's a whole nother thing that maybe we'll get together and talk with a breeder. I think that'd be a fun episode to see what we can do about that. But for most people, the snake is easy. You don't have to feed it every single day. You can go away for the weekend and not have to have somebody come over take care of your pet. You don't have to let it in and out of the house or any of those crazy things. You don't even have to clean a litter box every day. It's a little bit easier commitment. And of course, I mean, you can sit around and watch, YouTube and Facebook Live and stuff while holding your snake. Yeah, and so it works out well. With that being said, before we go, a couple of big announcements. First off, I know last live I mentioned that our online shop went live, and I'll put it into the link. We actually have an easier link now that you can remember. It's very simple, wildmanphil.shop. That's right, it's our wildmanphil shop, and there's just a dot in the middle. So wildmanphil.shop has our online store. You can pick up t-shirts and DVDs and stickers and Stumpy the Tortoise stuff and all kinds of fun things. Definitely check that out. Thank you again to our sponsor, Abiding Impressions, for setting all that up and providing the apparel and so on. Once again, a shout out to Coyote, Peterson, Mark, and Mario, the Brave Wilderness crew, wonderful supporters. Thank you guys for helping, and I hope everything is going great on their YouTube Live they do every Monday through Friday, an hour before ours. Now, with that being said, I'm going to take over one of their slots this week. I'm giving everybody an opportunity to have an encore Wildman Phil live video on Thursday of this week. I'm going to, at 10 a.m. Arizona time, so an hour before I normally come on live here at 11, I'm going to be doing a fun thing with our local Boys and Girls Club. The people of the local Boys and Girls Club, which is the Boys and Girls Club of the Casa Grande Valley. These guys do a lot for the community, and unfortunately these kids are not able to come in to the facility right now, and so they're having to do what everybody else is, and they're having to watch these things on video, on the computer, on the internet, live, and such. So one of the things, I've worked with them a lot, I've done shows for them, and I can't just go in and do a live show for all the kids, so I'm going to go ahead and go live. So I encourage you, if you want to catch an extra episode this week, go check out the Boys and Girls Clubs. Sorry, there's an S on there, but it's what'll pop up. Boys and Girls Clubs of the Casa Grande Valley. That will like their page, follow them, and then Thursday morning, I'm going to be their live feed. They have other wonderful things going on as well at 10 o'clock every day. So if you're not on YouTube checking out Coyote Peterson and them, and maybe your local whatever, check that out as well. But wanted to let you guys know we have that going up. And in case you guys didn't know, this Wednesday is Earth Day. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. To me, the Earth is kind of an important thing. I think you guys might agree. Without the Earth, we probably wouldn't be doing this right now. So, it is Earth Day, and I have a very special program that we're doing that day that is going to be maybe a little on the technical side, but please bear with us. It's going to be an amazing little thing that we're doing that really is a program that ties together us living on this Earth and everybody getting along and things working out well. And it's going to involve some wild birds. Yeah, I know you're kind of, what kind of tease is that? Well, maybe I'll put a little something out for you to see later, but you want to stick around for that. So we've got those two big events coming up this week. Hopefully everybody shows up for those. And then we'll talk about other fun things we're doing. Tomorrow, we're doing live again, 11 o'clock, same place here. But we're going to shift gears because apparently not everybody wants a snake as a pet. Some people like other pets. And the animal we're going to talk about tomorrow is one that some of you may already have had as a pet or know somebody who does. And it's completely opposite of the snake. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the hedgehog. That's right, we've had a lot of people asking. Tomorrow's the day, so tune in to learn about the hedgehog and see the hedgehog do all kinds of hedgehoggity things. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'll put some of the links and some of the info we've talked about in case you want to know where to go to get a pet snake. And thanks again, once again, to Abiding Impressions for helping us out and working with us to help all this go through. Also, virtual tip jar is still there. I appreciate it. Please feel free to throw some money to help keep these things going. And I thank everybody who has taken advantage of that. I'll put those links in the comments so that everybody can find out how to help there. Thanks again to everybody. I hope you enjoyed learning what pet or what snake would make the best pet for you.